with the sultry voice of Joe Navarro. That's the thing. Like, people have been telling me I have a great voice. I don't know why. They always tell me that.
Yeah, I mean, it's bassy. It carries.
It's sexy. I think it's sexy. I really do. I don't know why. Like, my face ain't great, but God has blessed me with this voice. So as long as they can't see my face, I think I'm fine.
Should be a phone sex operator.
So is that why the podcast hasn't moved to video yet?
That's exactly why. That's the only reason. Every time I see myself, I've recorded some videos actually, and every time I see myself, I'm like, I'm so goddamn fat.
Why do you think I put an entire desk in front of me? So I don't have to worry about that.
Oh my God. I started working out. I've been working out for like a couple months now because of the videos. Like I was just like, if I'm going to be on video, I cannot look like this anymore. Like,
I got to do something.
I'm tired of it. Oh my God.
Because at a certain point, if you're putting yourself out there like that, it's like, is this what you're going for?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I go on stage all the time, so that's this is what people see. And I've seen myself in videos recently. I look a lot better, but I still need to lose a little bit more because, like, it's a messed up thing to say, but the way you look matters.
Yeah, definitely.
The way you look matters, especially when you're presenting yourself in front of people, in front of strangers. How you look really matters.
Because it's like that first impression stuff.
The first impression is the most important for most people, man. I've had a lot of like really good first impressions, but the ones that were bad are
bad enough.
Because here's the thing: once you make a bad first impression, that person's always going to remember you like that. Doesn't matter if the next time is way better. Well, sometimes it does matter, but for the most part, they still remember the first time they met you.
But my question always isn't like I agree, but like why do we always, as a society, focus so negatively, like focus on the negative stuff so much? It's like we can see a million comments and they're all cool because we expect that, but then the second somebody says something that we're like, oh, that kind of hits close to home, that actually makes me feel the way I feel, that's the one that kind of lingers in our head. And I don't know exactly why, but I've noticed that as a phenomenon. But all the other ones are personal. Why aren't the good comments personal enough to counteract all the negativity?
Because we don't accept it in ourselves sometimes.
Right.
Because we don't see it in ourselves, right? So we don't believe it. We only believe the negative.
Or not even see it. Sometimes you can see it, but accept it. You know? Accepting is a hard thing to do, especially in life. Like you have to accept that you're living in this world. You accept that you work for a living. You know, you're accepting to take money for this thing that they want you to do. Like it's all accepting it. Right. Once you stop accepting it, then things go bad. Mm-hmm. That's the hard part.
We getting real deep off rip. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Two, one. Welcome to the 2.5 Citizens Podcast. I'm Zen.
I'm Roman.
And we got a special guest with us, a comedian here from Houston, Texas. We got Joe Navarro with us here in the studio today.
What's up?
How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing great. Great to have you. We're excited to have you. We met at the Secret Group a few weeks ago. I saw you on stage. You did great. A lot of that Mexican humor, I was like, all right, he's going to be perfect for the podcast because that's supposed to be what we talk about.
All right, he's brown. Perfect.
I said he's brown. We got him. I'm like, we've been getting to. We started the comedian guest series off with Sean Swarley, with a white veteran.
Yeah,
and I was just like it's cool, like a white veteran with a dog, which is like all cool and all. It's cool and all, but you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we needed some brown representation. In the studio.
In our last episode, we overcorrected.
He's not really.
What happened?
We had Marlo on for episode 2, so we just went to the complete other end of the spectrum. We're trying to dial it back and get back in touch with our roots. Because if you noticed, and I've heard comedians talk about this with nuances for other nationalities and stuff, that in America, you kind of either have to pick white culture or black culture. We don't really show ourselves too much culturally to pick a side.
I got to stop you from there. It's we're in America, right?
This is America.
We live Roman. We live in America.
Last time I checked, yeah.
Last time I checked, okay.
The U.S. of A. Depending if you live online or not.
We do live in Texas, I'll say that. You're gonna have some right wings after you now.
I think he'd be pissed. And I'm just like, whatever, fuck you. You fucking governor can't stand up. Whatever.
It's your governor too, dog.
Not my governor. Fucking. Not my governor. No.
Who would you pick?
Who would I pick?
That's the problem. Is like that's what I started realizing as the issue is like we know who we don't want, but we don't know who we want. So it's like whenever we're having another governor race, I said, I don't know. Twitter hasn't told me who we're voting for.
I want Beto.
They told me that last time. They told me we wanted Beto last time, but no one's been pushing that this time.
Yeah, because he's a fucking idiot.
Exactly. So Twitter hasn't been telling us who to vote for. So now are we supposed to do our own research? That's wild.
We just need to get it.
Like I need the new mob mentality to tell me what's popping right now. If we're not fucking with Abbott, because as of right now, no one's told me otherwise. As of right now,
well, that's your problem right there. You're like, nobody's told me otherwise. Why don't you look it up? Why don't you
ain't nobody
check
told
who's
me.
out there?
Ain't no one's looking this up. That's the thing that you got to realize.
Well, that's the problem with American culture. I mean, well, let me get back to my previous point, and then we'll talk about that. But I don't see it as white and black culture. I see it as American culture. I see everything, even Hispanics in here, like they have their own culture. We live in America. This is all American culture. America was based off of different types of people, back in the day when they immigrated over here, and they're all intermingling. That's what it's become nowadays.
And that's what I think that it should be. But then,
because you see white guys acting like black dudes,
but then when they do that, they say it's cultural appropriation or culture vulturing. So it's like I want the mixing pot to go and to keep on.
What do people see every day? The internet. What's on the internet? Whatever pops up. If that's what they like, that's what they like. I don't blame somebody for liking a certain type of culture and trying to act like it. Cool, but be true to yourself. Also,
but be real. Does it offend you a little bit when you see a white guy making tortillas by hand?
Oh, hell no. Making tortillas by hand? No, because he learned how to do that shit. He learned how to mix the masa. He learns how to do all the things.
I don't know. I feel like he didn't get the struggle. He didn't get the chance to learn.
What would make me angry is them trying to talk to me and act like
you don't know about it.
Yeah.
Like, bro, this is the way you do it. Hold on.
Yeah. Trying to over-explain everything. It's like okay,
explain it.
I mean,
like,
white
bitch,
people
you saw a YouTube video, okay? You saw one YouTube video, now you think you're an expert?
Joshua Wiseman taught me how to make flour tortillas.
But white people do that shit. I was at a grocery store.
If you do it in secret, then it's fine.
So you have to hide it. You can't even be out with the culture.
No, you can do it, but you have to be an expert. That's the biggest thing. You have to know what you're talking about. If you don't know what the hell you're talking about, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you don't know what you're talking about, if you can't explain to me why my people have been hurt, how this used to be Mexico and what happened, then shut the hell up because I don't want to hear it because you don't know our struggles.
Yeah, we still out here. I still be claiming half Mexico because we on the land. You know, we on the old enchanted land out here. But that's actually the thing that I've noticed is that the way geographically everything's been, I do identify a lot more as Texan because of like the way I grew up here, right? So it's like when I go to like Nevada, their Mexican food is disgusting because I've gotten so used to Tex-Mex. The idea of Tex-Mex, the idea of like what we have here.
Need I remind you where you were born?
Barely.
Shit. Need I remind you?
You about to get exposed?
I was born in Brownsville.
Okay.
So I'm like a hop, skip, and a jump away. If they accidentally dropped me as a baby, I could have rolled on into Mexico.
I got family in McAllen.
Yeah.
Right. So just 956 area code. Right there in the valley.
Right. So like that's where, but over there, it's a lot more closed-minded.
Dirty. Oh, yeah.
Over there, it's like a lot more like one type of people. It's just the people that came over from Matamoros and haven't gone anywhere else yet.
The way I would describe it is they're really old school. There's an old school mentality. Because like my dad was when I was born, he was like maybe 36, 37. And my mom was 17, 18. So there was a huge difference right there. Huge age difference, right? Yeah. And it that happens all the time in Mexico. Yeah. Happens all the time, but nobody says anything because that's part of the culture.
Right. They like give you away when you're like 15 or whatever. So
like that type of stuff. So I totally understand why there's a certain type of thinking because they were taught that way when they were younger.
Right,
you know?
and that's all they think. They don't even really see the diversity around them. Even the Mexican food is literally just like that type of Mexican food. You come here and people are from all over the world, from way deep into Mexico, different parts of Mexico, different parts of Salvador, and so you get a lot more of a mixed cuisine out here.
Especially in Houston. In Houston, there's so many different, there's Colombians, Peruvian, Mexican, Salvadorian, like so many types of different Hispanic foods that I've tried just here, just in Houston. And it probably might not be authentic, but it's close to the thing as possible.
Right.
Yeah, we do have a lot of diversity. Like one time I tried a Lebanese restaurant on accident.
Oh shit!
Because I was driving by, I thought it was a lesbian restaurant.
Hey, I fuck with
and
hookah,
I
dog.
fucking I thought it was a lesbian restaurant. I was like, that sounds fucking sick.
Someone explain hookah to me.
Okay. Do you want to do it or do you want me to do it? You've been to Black Mike's, right?
It's just tobacco. It's flavored
Yeah.
tobacco. That's all it is.
So is it just cigarillos through a pipe? Is this all it is?
Kind of, yeah. Because
Essentially,
smoking hookah.
But it doesn't hit your throat as hard.
No, because sometimes I do it with ice. Sometimes I put the ice inside of the.
I've never done that because I was at a.
Dude, you can ask for that shit.
Really?
Yeah.
I was at Prime 44, and that was the first time I tried hookah. It's a mic that they have on Thursdays if anybody's interested in going. But I did hookah for the first time, and I was like, at first I was like, this isn't hitting. And they're like, it's hitting. Blow out, motherfucker. I'm like, oh, huge cloud. But I was like.
What, you just holding it in the whole time? You're like,
Because I was trying to get, and I was also trying to get a buzz, and so it didn't, because I was used to like the vapes and shit, right?
Yeah.
And it just wasn't hitting. It doesn't hit the throat the same, but it's still like it is still a tobacco product, and yeah, you gotta suck the shit out of it if you want to get a little buzz going.
So that's why I use the ice. The ice makes it easier to hit. Yeah, it's smoother going down your throat.
That's why they do like the ice flavoring in vapes. That makes sense.
Yeah.
To me, it just seems like the excuse of a venue to like be as wild as possible. Because all the hookah lounges that I've been taken to are like a BYOB place with a DJ playing in there. I'm like, this is a mini club.
Well, think about, like, you smoke a cigarette inside the place, everybody's gonna complain. But because of how hookah smells, people are they're comfortable with it inside of a room.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always wonder, like, that is one place to just. How do they even get away with being able to just openly smoke in a room like that?
Exactly. Like, you can't. You have to have like certain codes that you have to, pass and stuff like that.
Probably fire rated walls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I can only imagine, because that's just like. Apparently in Texas, if you're on stage, you can smoke, and I'm sure like venues got to be. Like,
And I don't know if it's like on stage, but like if it's in a performance.
Yeah.
If it's part of the performance that you're doing.
right.
You
You
know.
can claim that.
You can claim that.
claim that.
You
You
can
just
claim
get away
that.
with it. I mean, that's what like Tony Hinchcliffe was
It's
talking
not
about.
getting
when he
it's
moved.
it's getting away with it, but technically it's part of the performance.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Like it's
so
part of my
like-
aesthetic. What do you
Yeah.
mean?
Mm.
Then my character smokes. That's all he does.
Right. My character smokes.
It's for a bit.
I smoke in the bit.
Yeah.
What's
that's
that,
it, yeah.
motherfuckers? It's like,
But let's take a smoke break real quick, and then I want to get into a few things about you, kind of how you got down the path of comedy.
Okay.
The interesting thing is we've been interviewing these comedians, but you're the first one that actually podcasts also. So, with that being said, what is it that made you want to go down that route? Because I know comedy, a lot of people focus on that, but podcasting takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. Yeah. So what made you want to go down that route?
The moment I started stand-up, I started podcasting.
Did it work hand in hand as far as like making material?
I mean...
Or did you just go into full creative mode?
Okay. So I have stuff that I've told on my podcasts and other podcasts about my life, my stories and stuff like that I've told on stage. But most of the time when I'm talking to somebody on my podcast and I have a story or a joke comes out and stuff like that, it just naturally comes out because of the way I'm vibing with the person, because we're having such a great time, because that's the experience that I want to give to myself. I want to give myself something new and different, because it would be so boring if I'm talking to somebody, asking them questions just to lead myself into a joke that I already had. That's egotistical. That's narcissistic. Right. And that's why I love stand-up so much. But that's true. It's true. Like, you can tell when somebody's being fake, when somebody just has their own agenda and they just want to get that. I was like, whatever you say doesn't matter.
They're not even thinking about what you're saying.
Yeah, they don't. No. They're just so focused on what they want to say.
It's like waiting for them to stop talking, essentially.
Yeah, that's all they do is like, okay, anyways, this is what I'm talking. Like, I hate that type of shit. So, can I cuss on here?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I don't know if you guys are like family
for sure.
friendly.
We're not. We just
Only clean comedy.
no. Yeah, we like to take risks.
Okay, so like, but yeah, like I try to keep it fresh and interesting every time. And the biggest thing for me is like what has been working so well is just being authentic, being comfortable, and just going with the flow.
That leads me to another question, actually, because you talk about podcasting and comedy going hand in hand, but I think I had this question the other night, but I didn't ask you. Since you do podcasting, and I'm sure a lot of your material brews there, or some of it at least?
My writing process.
That's what I was about to ask. Your writing process.
My writing process, like I try to write at least like an hour a day. I try to force myself to write an hour a day.
Okay.
And I go through a lot of material on my notebooks and stuff and my recordings that I don't ever make it again. Like after a
It's
process,
a throwaway, essentially.
after like 3 to 5 times when I do them on the mics, I have to ask myself like, hey, is this good or not? And if it's not, I have to just put it in the back burner. And what most comics do is like, don't ever throw away your material because you never know what might happen later on. You might, because you become a better writer. And once you become a better writer, you know how to twist certain things better. And if you go back to your older material, then you're like, oh, I liked this joke before. Why didn't it work? And then you find a new premise or a new tag or a new punchline. And the joke is so different. And it works now because you know how to do stand-up.
Right.
Right. Like one of your most recent jokes that like fucking, I still think about it. It kills me to this day. Is nice cut, bro. I fucking love
I like
that
a cut,
joke.
G.
Because he starts the joke off, but do you want to explain it? You're better at explaining it. It's your fucking joke.
Oh, man. I mean,
It's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. I literally every time I make a trans joke, I still think about that joke to this day. I'm like, fuck, that is so fucking good. That is so fucking good.
if you want to break down that joke, I can totally break it down right now.
Honestly?
I like.
Go for
Okay,
it.
so I mean, it goes into comedy theory. I don't know how much your fans love comedy.
Which
like,
is that's the whole thing is we try to say that this is a comedy podcast, right? As far as like everything that we talk about is revolving around comedy. We cover a lot of comedians. We want to never take ourselves too seriously on this podcast. So I think this kind of going inside baseball would be interesting. I think it'd be interesting.
Okay, so I've had this idea for the longest time. It's something that actually happened. So I went over to my sister's place. I was just hanging out. My nephew was there. I had a haircut. He comes up to me. He's like, "I like it cut, G." Slaps me on the back of the head, right? I kind of knew what it was because like back in my day, it was like fresh cut,
Yeah,
slap.
I knew fresh cut.
Fresh cut, slap.
Yeah.
Because
So,
I mean,
but-
yeah. So wait. So what you're saying is fresh cuts out. We have a new thing.
It's
cut,
I like
G,
it cut,
bro.
G. I like it cut, G. Slap. That's the new thing.
Okay. And it's
And that's why I love having like a nephew and nieces that are in the younger generation because it teaches me. I was like, oh shit, that's the new shit. All right, I'm gonna start doing that. Another thing that's like, sheesh, like
Jesus,
that's
fuck
been-
yeah,
that's
I've
been-
seen that.
Like I watch
that.
the internet. I'm on the internet all the time. I'm on IG. I'm on TikTok. I'm watching all these new trends and stuff like that. And like I grew up in A-Leave, so I feel like I know what culture is.
Right.
You know, I feel like I know like what when I see something, I was like, oh, that slaps. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like I have a good sense of taste on certain things. So when he did that, I was just like, I got to make this into a joke or something, man. This is hilarious.
Right.
Because like this is a new thing. So I went through many iterations of what that was. And then at the end, for some reason, one day I was just doing some trans stuff. Like I was talking about trans to my friend or whatever. And we're just cracking jokes and shit like that. And then at the end, I was just like, I like a cut, G. Boom. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. And that just popped into me. I was like,
it hit, dude.
it hits. Oh, my God. My friend was dying laughing. He
Thing
was like,
is,
oh, my
though,
God.
I noticed because that was your first time mushing the two, and I
Yeah.
saw it happen on stage, and that was your first time. I think it was your first time. performing that joke.
Okay. So I told my friends, some of my comic friends, I was like bullshitting with them. I told them about the joke on Friday. On Sunday, I went to 2 different open mics and tried it out. Bombed the first one, and the second one was kind of got chuckles and people were kind of understanding. But then the next day, I did it at Axelrad. Freaking hit, bro. It was my whole set was good. It was fire, and I was kind of scared because I was like, should I tell this? Because it was a room full of diverse like people in different ages, and I was just like, I don't know if they're
And
gonna.
it's at Axelrad.
I don't know if they're gonna fuck with this. So I was just like, I was in the moment. I was having a great set. I was like, let me just throw this out. Boom, hit so goddamn hard. And there was a moment where I tell the third punchline, and I'm laughing in my videos on IG. I'm laughing, dying because it hit me at that moment.
Right.
It was such a new
Yeah.
joke. I was just like, oh damn, this is hilarious. And I had to stop. I was like, God.
I noticed that. I noticed this while I was talking to Marlo. Comics don't realize how funny their jokes are sometimes when they're saying them. But I literally reiterated. Yes, I code switch. I reiterated a joke back to Marlo, how he delivers it, and he fucking died. He fucking died laughing at his own joke because he's never heard it like that.
Yeah.
He's never heard it said to him.
Yeah.
Just listening.
Yeah, and
That
I think that's why
happens.
a
That
lot
definitely
of times
happens.
people like comedians, by what I hear, don't even want to listen to themselves or see themselves that much because they don't want to get too much into their cadences.
I hate listening
They
to
don't want to
myself.
like find out their things because then it's like.
But
Dude,
at the
you
same
become a
time, that
parody of
helps.
yourself.
I've noticed that because the thing is, I still have this big problem where I move a lot on stage. Like I move a lot, but like not just walking around and pacing or like hands. No, I just like rock back and forth a lot on stage, probably out of nervousness. And literally, Marlo comes up to me the other night and he tells me, he's like, "Hey, dude, like your set was great, but you move too fucking much. The crowd thinks you're nervous, so that's why they're a little bit on edge and they're not as susceptible to listening to what you have to say."
Okay, so I can give you a tip on that if you would like.
Yeah, of course.
I was on YouTube one day. I found Ralphie May. He recorded a workshop at the Comedy Store back in the day, and he was talking about something like that. It's so whenever you set up the joke and then tell your punchline, it's kind of like a rhythm. It's like da 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 da. Always when you hit the punchline, always look in the middle, and then like you're gathering somebody. It's like,
Everybody come around.
boom, middle, punchline. And that
okay.
has helped me out tremendously because I used to shake. I used to like just walk around too much. I wouldn't really stay in the pocket. So that helps out a lot. And then you walking on stage isn't a bad thing because if people are still looking at you, you're still keeping their attention. And that helps with keeping attention when something's moving, you want to focus on it.
Yeah.
So, but you pick your moments of when you want to
noticed that, but what also I noticed what also helps a lot is, which this is a tip of advice that two people have told me. It was Marlo and Enrique Chacon. They both told me, pick people in the crowd and look at them. It makes it a connective.
That's what I'm
experience.
saying.
Very personal.
Go left,
experience.
pick somebody, set the premise, another person premise, and in the middle, punchline. You look at everybody.
Okay. I'm learning.
See, you're learning right here on the pod.
I'm learning
it's
on
a
the
learning
pod.
experience. I
But
hope
it took
everybody else
me,
is learning.
you know how long it took me to learn that? Like, it took me a minute. Like, it just...
That's why I think things like this are great. Like, I think that the economy of podcasting has allowed us to really, like, get into the minds of a lot of the people who, like, do the things that we love. A lot of these entertainers in long form, we're not just getting the product they put out, right? We're hearing them talk about stuff every week for so long to where you feel like you build this sort of connection. I think that's the good thing about podcasting is that you start building a relationship with your audience where they know you as a person, not just for the fact that this company hired you to do this project and they liked it, and maybe they liked you when you were doing this over here. You know, like as far as in the grand entertainment scheme, they're actually getting to know
authentifies
you,
it.
and you get to build your own platform of fans.
That's a good point, but like it just depends on what content you're putting out because like not everybody listens to a comedy podcast. So they got true crime podcasts, they got music podcasts,
Economics podcasts.
Yeah, it's the quality of the content you're putting out. I think that's the most important thing. It doesn't matter what you do, just as long as it's good.
Yeah,
That's all that
And that
matters.
you're. My biggest thing with everything is that just adding value to the person that like you're trying to get. Like basically, like why do they want to listen to like you? Is it
They need to
because
get something out of it.
Is it because you're famous and they just want to hear about you? Then that's one thing.
That's the
Is
rule
it
of-
because you're giving a good opinion about something that they care about, a topic that they're interested in, and that they want to take with them and act smart in front of their friends? Maybe it's that. And especially for these true crime ones and things like this, it is that sort of entertainment, but also emotion. They want to get emotion evoked.
They want to feel something.
They want to feel something, and they want it to feel real.
Well, I think that's the thing with a lot of things now. Everything out there, it's when it involves culture, art, music, television. You feel something when you're doing things or watching these things. And it's comedy, same thing. Sometimes you can feel like angry at the comic. Sometimes you're sad because of their life that they're telling you about, or they're bombing. Like there's a lot of feelings that you evoke, from it. And emotional,
real life feelings that you can't even control, like such a visceral effect, like laughing. You know what I mean?
The one thing I'm realizing is the most important thing is emotional intelligence. I think that's a big. There's so many different types of intelligence out there. It's not just you're smart. Okay, cool. Not anymore.
Right.
Just like genders, there's different types of intelligences.
Do you think that that's a new focus though? That we need to not focus on more, but more so like learn? Because I feel like emotional intelligence is a fairly new, not a new concept, but it's newly spotlighted now. It's not because it wasn't always
All
People
right.
didn't always see emotional
It's a
intelligence as a
double-edged
priority.
sword. It's a double-edged sword, in my opinion, because the problem that happens is, as a society, we've gotten too comfortable. So now we gotta focus on other things, right? Like before, you had to just be strong back in the day because you had to just survive, and you had to like protect your family, and there could be like wild animals out there, or like it was survival of the fittest, literally.
Yeah.
So like smarts mattered if you were just out there trying to be crafty in the woods and stuff like that. But as far as like being like strong, that's what mattered, because like that's why that's like the looked upon
Right.
thing. But now we're getting to a point, right, where like there's so much technology, there's so much things that how hard do we really have to work ever? Like how like in life now it is more so like, well, are you smart and can you figure out a different way to do things as we go in more and more advanced? So because of that, like that is become something we look at now. You know what I mean?
Emotional intelligence.
Is this sort of emotional intelligence, because like, okay, we know that like you could be strong all you want, but like we have machines for that now. So
But here's the thing.
what do you bring to the table?
That only depends on what type of job, what type of career you have, how you live your life, where you live. That there are some places in the U.S. where you have to be a man. And what I mean by that is like the old school idea of a man. You have to be tough, take care of your family, pay all your bills, have a house, this and that. I feel like it's different because we live in the city. Mm-hmm. Like if you're out there in like bumfuck Texas and you're just living your life, you got a wife and kids, it's like you don't give a shit about emotional intelligence. You're living your life. I'm living my goddamn life. I'm doing what I have to
Right.
do. I'm a man. But when you
Exactly.
get in the city, everybody's so close together. We don't have that freedom of just open road and
Field and
cattle
lifting
and all
hay
You
that.
have to
Exactly.
take into consideration the people around you.
Exactly. And you have to be emotionally intelligent, and you have to talk to people and understand where they're coming from and stuff
Right.
like that, because we're so close all the time. We're seeing
You're
each other
dealing with
almost
people
every day. Every day.
You're like dealing
Yeah.
with different types of people, and you're having to understand different things.
Exactly.
That's essentially why we have so much generational conflict, because it's like the older generations were raised on these ideas of like let's say boomers and Gen Xers were raised on these ideas that it's like, oh, you have to be this, 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 and this. Now times have changed. Things have gotten easier through evolution, through the hard work that our that our past generations have put in. Now it's like, hey, Grandpa, we're focused on different things. I gotta give a fuck about different things. It's like, but you have to. It's like, I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. And that's where we start bumping heads. And everybody starts getting angry.
Yeah, but speaking of evolution, we're going to evolve into some other things here. Perfect. And we have some questions for you. Now, how long have you been doing comedy? About, would you say?
Little over 4 years. It'll be 5 in January, next January. Oh, December.
Now, so you've seen the scene pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. Have you been
The
seeing
Houston comedy scene.
The Houston comedy scene, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. How has it changed? I know from when I saw it at first, I remember just going, and this was briefly, just going to the improv and stuff before the pandemic, and it was just so much easier. They had the open mics there and stuff. Now you can only buy things by the table, and that's just kind of like a lot of these pandemic things put in place have just kind of stayed that way. And I'm wondering if a lot of people have come back in full effect, or if some people have been leery and just kind of staying away from it since everything's kind of come back.
That's a good question. So, pre-pandemic, I started around 2018, and back then there weren't as many mics. It was really tough to get on. There were a lot of bumps all the time. It was a different scene.
Even worse than now.
It was way worse.
The bumping
It was way worse. No, Boondocks and Darwin's as well were bad places, because I would go in, sign up at like 9 o'clock. I wouldn't get on until like maybe 12, 1 o'clock.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, it was bad. When they didn't know you and you signed up, they didn't give a crap about you. They're just like, now you're going to wait. But that does two things to a person. Either you're like, hey, screw this, I'm going to get better. Once I get better, I'll be getting better spots. Or you could be like, oh, I'm stuck in here. Well, I hate this, man. Why am I waiting?
No, you can't victimize yourself.
You can't do that.
You got to use that as an encouragement to get the fuck out there. And
Most
get your
people don't.
Get your material better.
Most people don't. That's the thing. That's what changes. Like
I remember
that's how you measure somebody, if they're going to stick around or if they're just in it for
I had a
fun.
moment that changed me. Not changed me, but that really made me realize, like, okay, like, it's fine. It's going to happen. But I'm going to have to fucking fix it, because I'm not going to keep going up at 1 a.m. it was a Tuesday mic, I think, and Jose Pena was hosting it. And Jose Pena and I are tight. We're pretty good friends. And he comes up to me, he's like, dude, it's not personal. But I have to bump like fucking 3 guys in front of you. And I'm like, you're shitting me, dude. Like I have a really good spot on the fucking list. And he's like, he's like, we have to, this is a really good crowd, we gotta keep it.
Okay, so I'll say when I host, I've hosted before, so I understand. I've hosted open mics, and it's not personal.
It's not.
It's never personal.
I understand.
It's never about
understand
you.
that.
But also, you don't have to put 3 people in front of somebody who's already signed up. Okay, what I would do is I would have one bump, then put in the next person that's on the list, and then keep doing that. Try to make it more fair.
Right.
I think that's the problem nowadays, because these newer open micers that are coming in don't know how to do it. There's a thing you have to do when you're bumping. You have to make sure, like, okay, yeah, I get it. These comics have been around for a while. They work hard. They're funny. You know, if you put them on stage in any situation, they can do it. But you don't have to do it for everybody all at once.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
The thing that I realized is I would say the freshest comic in the open mic scene right now. And so I looked at that and I understood. And I fucking swallowed my pride and I was like, fuck it, that's fine.
That's the only thing you can do.
And
yeah.
I mean, yeah, what are you gonna fucking get pissed off at then at that point you fuck yourself. So,
no, but he came up to you with respect. He told you, "Hey, it's not personal."
Yeah,
like, he said that.
And like I said, I've had good conversations with him. Him and I he's good people.
Yeah, he's great. I love Jose.
It wasn't personal, but I used that while I still had a crowd when I went up as like all right, next time you won't have to. And I went up there and I did what I had to do. I was like, it's not gonna keep happening to me. I was like, I'm not gonna let this keep happening to me.
Eventually you get better.
Eventually you get better.
Yeah.
And you go up there, and I went up there and I was like, you know what, fuck it. And I did my shit. And I did fairly well, except I fucked up. I fucked up, and I did. I'm really glad that he did bump those people in front of me, because I didn't know that the Uvalde school shooting happened. And
really?
just earlier that night, I was talking to Marlo, and I ran a premise by him. He's like, yeah, that's good, you should write it. Not even thinking about it. And the premise was, Texas makes sense. Yes, you're letting the kids pop out. You're pro-life, letting the kids pop out. Boom, 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 boom. But it makes sense that you also support the Second Amendment, because you need that balance. You got to pop off these little kids in school shootings, because it's the only way you're going to control the population.
And it just the shooting just happened, right?
That fucking
you didn't
day.
know.
That fucking day, it happened, and I had no fucking clue. I had no clue that it had happened that day, because I don't watch the news that much.
What was the reaction of the crowd?
Dude, one guy walked out in the middle of my set, and I was like, and he's like,
he was like, this guy's a piece of shit.
I told him, because I didn't know what happened. And usually when people walk, I didn't know what happened. So usually when people walk out in the middle of my set, I'm like, have a good night. You know, just being an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, have a good night. Fucking walking out in the middle of a set. Like, usually you wait till afterwards to walk out. Don't be rude, you know? But this guy obviously had a fucking reason. And I was like, have a good night. He's like, fuck.
A good reason.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you, man. And I'm like, I don't understand what he's upset about. And after that set, like when I made that joke, somebody said too soon, man. And I'm like, what do you mean too soon? What happened? Like, then my face changes. I'm like, what do you mean too soon? Did something happen? And then after my set's over, 60% of the crowd walks out.
God.
60% of the crowd walks out, and I'm like, okay, this is deeper than a bad set.
And you know what? That's why you're getting bumped. Okay.
That's not why I'm getting bumped. That's not why I'm getting bumped.
If you would have done that, those other 3 comics
Would have had a shitty fucking set. Yeah. So,
but all that to say, you think that the pandemic maybe has like humbled some of these other comics, or has it just kind of like made the scene just a little bit of a different place?
It's made the scene a little bit of a different place, because there's so many newer comics, or newer open micers, I should say, and it's changed. The scene has changed so much, because back in the day it was like a smaller community. Now it's a lot bigger. There's different cliques, there's different places you can go to do mics. Like back in the day, it was kind of like that. I would do like 2 to 3 mics a night at least, and I would go out every night. Like I was hustling, and it was the pandemic sucked. It sucked. But I kept going out like an idiot. I'm gonna be honest. I was a dumbass.
How many times did you get COVID?
Twice.
Okay.
But
Same, right? But I was asymptomatic both times.
I only got it
really,
once.
oh yeah, the
I
first
only
time
got tested because someone around me had gotten it, and then I had it, but I was asymptomatic.
Dog, the
So
first
I just couldn't go to work.
the first time I got it, I thought I was gonna die.
It was like that. It got you.
Bad. It was a bad strain, and I was like, it was the first one. So like, I was just in my house, like on my bed, just like on the side, like fuck. Every time I tried to take a breath, it felt like pins and needles were like hitting my
No
lungs,
shit.
like it was poking at me hard. And like I called the hospital. I talked to a nurse. She was just like, "Do you feel like you're gonna die?" And I was like, "Almost." She was like, "Well, the hospitals are all full right now. You can't. If you want to see a doctor, it'll probably be like 3 to 5 days." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, we're all screwed right now." I was like, "God damn!" So I fought it out, and after like a week, I started feeling better finally. But it hurt so bad. I had a fever as well. I was sweating. It was like, it was
That
bad.
sounds crazy. Because for me, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It was like
This motherfucker was chilling
I felt
the
so
entire fucking
privileged.
time.
The whole thing, I was just like, they were just like, yo, they just told me at work, you can't come back until you get a negative test. And I felt fine. And I was like, I guess I can't. So I was just going a little stir crazy in here. So it was me and my wife together. And we would just go to like the beach once a week and just walk the empty beach to feel like we're going outside. Mm-hmm. We were just kind of like, I voted. I drive-through voted. I drive-through voted in the middle of COVID. That really felt like, now that I'm thinking back to it, such a sign of the times. We were drive-through voting in Texas with COVID. It was such a...
that changed a lot. I mean,
That's an American right there. Good shit.
oh, you know what changed it? Like you could take home drinks too.
Yo, that
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah.
I was when I first time I was like, I went through the Taco Cabana drive-through. I'm like, can I get 2 margaritas, please?
Yeah.
I'm like, they're like, yeah. What flavor? Oh, so y'all just gonna give me these margaritas?
Oh yeah, they're just gonna do it.
Okay. I'm like, all right.
I mean, a lot of things that were implemented during COVID that people realized were convenient as fuck. They're like, we should keep doing that.
Yeah, like we should keep on letting people deliver alcohol. Like that started becoming a rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I loved it. I love going out, and people. The crazy thing about it, people still were coming out. People,
I mean, Texas kind of never really stopped.
Especially right now in June. A lot of people are coming out.
Like Texas, like
No, I mean during the pandemic, people were still going out to places.
Yeah.
People were still hanging around, even when COVID was at its worst. People
Yeah,
were,
like-
in Texas. Like you said, it felt like
100% stopped.
Nah,
yeah, never
because
stopped.
People, there was a lot of
Like
people
they
that
just
didn't give a
reduced
fuck.
some
Yeah.
capacities in certain
I mean,
places.
especially for people around my age, because this is going to make you guys feel old. I was a junior in high school when COVID happened. Yeah, I was a junior in high school when COVID started, and we went out we left for spring break. Shit hit the fan that spring break, and they were like, "All right, we're another week for spring break," and then everybody was like, spring break 2.0, and then everyone was like, "All right, you guys are staying home because there's a pandemic," and they're like, "Oh shit," I'm like, I guess we're out of school now, and everyone, because we're all in online school. And then the next year, you got the choice of whether you wanted to go to school or do school online. I did school online because 1, I'm a pussy, and 2, I was like, fuck school. But yeah, that changed it a lot. That changed. A lot of people feel like they got their last year and a half of high school taken away from them.
he didn't go to prom. He didn't care to, but like he didn't go to prom.
I didn't go to prom or anything
I didn't
like
go
that.
to prom either, but I just didn't care.
Yeah.
Do you ever regret that kind of stuff when you get older? Like just little things that when you're younger, because I know exactly what you mean. A lot of times when you're like, don't care about the whole dynamic, you're just like, yo, I don't care about that. That doesn't matter to me. And then as you go back later on in life, you're like, yo, I wish I would have taken advantage of certain things that you had the opportunity to when you're a kid. Because once you get older, you got to deal with all the bullshit. I think as kids, a lot of times we try to rush to the bullshit because that makes us feel like we're adults. And then once you're in it, you're like, shit, I just ran over to this. Like, now I'm stuck here.
See, my life is different from most people because, like, yes, I do feel like that sometimes. but it's because I had to grow up. Because like when I was, don't get sad, okay? Do not get sad because I'm over this shit. But my mom was a drug addict and my dad was an alcoholic when I was growing up. So I've seen a lot of shit, and I've had to grow up a lot quicker and mature quicker than other people. So some of the things that I went through, that I saw in life is like stupid kid shit. Now that I'm getting older, I'm like, shit, I wish I could have done that when I was that age.
Yeah.
You know, like
You were able to.
I wasn't able to. I was in a different place in my mind too. I was thinking about other things. Like while people were like, "Hey, let's go to this party," I'm like, shit, is my mom gonna trip out now? Or is my dad, when my dad comes home, is he gonna be drunk as hell? Like I was thinking about other things in life. So I was growing up, I was just a recluse. I was just in my house and playing video games all the time on the computer and stuff like that. So I didn't get to enjoy most of the things that a regular teen or a young adult gets into.
Right.
That's the biggest thing for me. But it's helped me though, because I feel like I am more mature and wiser than other people my age.
Yeah.
Because I'm 29, I'm about to be 30, but then I've also like seen different things happen in my life so much, and like the way I think about things now is way different than I did back then.
For sure.
And I feel like I'm a different person. I'm a better person. Like I'm not gonna say I haven't done stupid things along the way, because that's how I learn.
Right.
I learn by failing.
That's literally the Mexican motto.
Yeah,
Touch the stove, pa que aprende.
Hell yeah. That's I touch the stove every time. But then, you see, my problem is I touch the stove like 10 times. Like I don't stop.
Just to make sure, like, yo, I don't know if last time.
I keep forgetting. Like, shit. Wait, what was that? Oh, wait.
How did that feel again? Oh yeah, that did suck.
But sometimes I need that. I need to be reminded. And like I feel like some people, like especially the Mexican people, are so goddamn prideful. Sometimes it feels like we go through this world, not just Hispanics, but also everybody. We go through this world with like blinders, and we're just looking at whatever is in front of us, and we're not really focused on what's out here. But once you take them off, you're like, oh damn, there's a whole ass world in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's crazy. Like once the blinders came off for me, I was just like, damn, I need to change some shit. I need to better myself. Like
Bill Burr had a really good example of that. Whenever he was talking about, he's like, when no wonder older generations are kind of more ignorant. He's like, because let's say you have 3 kids, you're pumping them out, and you're taking them through school, and you're doing all this shit, and like you're raising them, and you're focused on raising these kids, and then you send the last one off to college. You're like, oh shit, and you're like, oh fuck, the world has been moving this entire time, and you're still stuck in the mindsets that you had before you had those kids, and the world has progressed, but you're still stuck where you're at because you made these decisions.
You stopped growing in certain ways.
Right.
Yeah, but because of those decisions, and that's the thing. That's the problem that I get with like parents that blame their kids for their lives being so like bad. It's like, no, it's your fault.
You decided to have the kids.
Yeah, you wanted to have the kid, but also you wanted to blame the kid for the next 18 years.
You wanted an excuse for your failure.
You wanted an excuse. Exactly. We go through excuses a lot. I've done it. I used to be my dad used to call me Mr. Excuse. I would have an excuse for just about anything, man. And I realized, like, yeah, I could keep making these excuses and keep going through life, but, like, it's not going to change anything.
Right. I have actually a few more things to go in on that, but let's take a smoke break real quick and get right back into it.
All right.
So this one's going to be a little deep, but we can try to be light with it. I know it's a little cliche, but if you notice, a lot of the people that are in the comedy scene tend to have a lot of rough pasts, tend to have a lot of childhood traumas that kind of make them who they are on stage. And with that, a lot of times comes these mental health issues. But in the Hispanic community specifically, like, no one talks about them. We just say, like, es el diablo and drogas.
I've noticed the few Hispanic comics, like Ricky Rivera, for example. Did I say his name right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, did I say his fucking name right? Ricky
Even if you didn't, just act like you did.
Yeah.
Right, that's his name now.
That'll be his name forever.
Ricky Rivera talks about his broken childhood, but you make the jokes about it. You implement it into your jokes, and he's like, yeah, my life was fucked up, but he has the broken home joke. He's like, when you grow up broke. When you grow up poor, everything is broke. Broken action figures, broken English, broken home, and I noticed that with a couple of like with a couple of Hispanic comics is they implement those things into their jokes and admit that, yeah, I'm fucked up because of it, but this is funny.
I think for a lot of comedians, it becomes therapeutic to make the jokes. But more so like that a lot of people in the Hispanic community don't want to admit that there's a problem.
Well, now you, I don't think comedy is therapy.
You don't think so?
I know it's not therapy.
No, it's not therapeutic. It's not therapy. It's just jokes. I love this. Like, okay, therapeutic in a sense. I'll say that. But, like, I don't think it's, like, talking about your life and stuff like that. Some comics, some open micers I've seen use the stage as therapy. And I used to do that. But now that I'm getting older, I'm like, this isn't what it is for. This is for entertainment purposes. We're doing a show. We're trying to say something, you know? Like, what are you saying? Are you saying you're broke? Are you saying your life sucks? Well, why do I want to watch this? Why do I want to get sad? Because you're sad.
Right.
You know, I don't want to see that. If you're talking about being broke, like you said, he did it in joke form.
Yeah.
Broken home and stuff. Like, that's funny. And we turn our life, we exaggerate our life a little bit.
You have to process it. So you get the premise, right? You have this idea, and you.
But when I think of it, I think of a joke, I don't think of it as like, oh man, this shit sucks. I should probably talk about this. I'm like, no. When I think back to my childhood and stuff like that, I'm like, oh shit, that was funny.
Yeah,
like,
but so you get to turn it into something positive. You basically get to grab something that was negative and repurpose it.
I turn it into something positive, but not because I feel bad about it, but because I see the situation as a whole being hilarious. There's humor involved in it.
Because you step back and you look at the
exactly.
situation from a different point
you
of view.
take a step back and you realize, okay,
yeah,
you take yourself out of it, but you're still in it.
of course you're still in it. Of course,
Yeah,
it's your
well,
point of view of
you're
the situation.
Exactly. So and that comes with like different material on stage too. You can talk about anything about your life. Some people talk about dating. Some people talk about drugs. Some people talk about their sex, their lives, or whatever. But they also intertwine it together into a set because it's all jokes for the most part.
Yeah.
And it's just for entertainment purposes.
I will say one thing though, in the sense of comedy being therapeutic, that validation that you get from people laughing at your jokes is something. That is definitely something that can get you not out of your slump, but that can temporarily fix the problem. It can put a little Band-Aid on the problem.
I've always been a funny kid. Maybe I'm autistic, but when I was younger, I didn't have a filter. So I would just say everything that was on the top of my head. And now I'm realizing that's not good. You should always hold back.
No, I agree with that.
You shouldn't say everything. But I didn't know that as a kid. And I would just say stupid things all the time, and adults would laugh. They would laugh at me, and I was like, "Oh, I like this. I like when adults laugh. Because I needed that validation, and I had their approval as well.
Yeah.
And whenever I would like get in trouble, I would just make them laugh, and they'd be like, "Okay, go back, sit down in your seat or whatever." And I understood that aspect. It's like, oh, okay, if they think I'm funny, they'll let me get away with more.
Yeah, that charisma can get you out of a lot of trouble, man.
Oh, I got a lot of charisma, dog.
Yeah,
so we talk about that. I remember in high school, I used to skip class all the fucking time, right? I went to Hastings High School, and skip class. I remember I was skipping class one day. I was walking down the corridors. I was going in that building in the middle of Hastings and Elsick, and I went to the Elsick side, and this assistant principal for Elsick caught me, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you skipping class? Like, what's going on?" And immediately I was like, "Oh fuck! If I get caught, I'm gonna get in trouble, and something's gonna happen, right?" So I was just like, "Oh shit! My stomach's killing me, man." I got next to his ear. I was like, "I have bad diarrhea." I was like, "Oh, really?" So he's like, "Come on, let's go to the nurse's office." And I was like, "Okay, I'll go." And he's like, No, come on. I was gonna go to Hastings. I was gonna go back so I can keep skipping. But he's like, "No, come with me." So he brought me inside of Elsick into the nurse's office, and they were like, "Oh, what's your name?" I was just like, George Aguilar. And they're like, "Oh, okay. We don't have your file. We don't have your file here. Like, well, who are you? Do you go to the school?" I was like, "Oh, I'm brand new. I'm a brand new student. I just got here. I don't. That's why I don't have any paperwork." So they gave me a new folder. I filled it out. I was in the bathroom and I was faking like, "Oh my god, oh, shh, oh." Then I waited until the assistant principal left. And the nurse was there. I just kept the folder and I just walked out and I went back to Hastings. And I was like, "Oh shit, I'm never doing that again." And then the next day I skipped again.
Right after no longer doing that. Man, I got snitched on by some white women when I tried to skip one time. It was one of the worst. So my high school split up into 4 different houses, right? So each house has their own assistant principal. I'm in debate, and there is a debate tournament going on. So all the class, including the teachers, are gone, and only us who don't give a fuck about this class and aren't going to the tournament stayed behind. We have a substitute teacher. We all say, "Hey, yo," I'm like the only one with a vehicle. They said, "Hey, yo, let's all go to like Wendy's." I said, "All right, I got y'all. I'll go to Wendy's."
They go to you. Let's all go.
Right, it's 4 of us. I tell this, we all tell this substitute, "Hey, we're gonna go to the library." We go to the library and we go to Wendy's. I mean, we don't go to the library. We go to Wendy's. We out there. Somebody tweets a picture from the group. One of the people who was at the debate tournament sees the picture and then snitches on us. All right, whatever.
Yeah, damn.
Whatever it happens, we all get sent to our proper APs. I had never gotten in trouble. I never do anything. Like, if I did, I would use, like, my charisma to get out of things, too, like, talk to my teachers and stuff. But, like, I never got into serious trouble where I had to get sent to, like, the office and things like that. So I get sent to the office. It's 2 white girls and then me and some Hispanic girl. Tell me why me and the Hispanic girl, the only ones that get, like, in-school suspension or anything, and these 2 white girls get let off with the warning because it's the first time they've ever done anything bad. I'm like, I ain't done shit either. Like, you have literally no record. And they were the ones that tweeted the picture. So I still have some internalized passion towards
See, the
that.
thing is, like, when I got in trouble when I was younger, I didn't give a fuck, man. I was in middle school, and I was in my science teacher's class. I got in trouble. I was talking during class. She got mad. She's like, "Hey, what's your mom's phone number?" So I just gave her some random number. It starts ringing, and then she hangs it up. She's like, "Boy, that's Pizza Hut's number." Everybody in the class started dying laughing. Like, I was that kind of kid. I was.
The fact that you had Pizza Hut's number off the top of your head.
That's
like
how you could tell I was fat back then too.
Because I used to
Off
have
the
Domino's.
top, yeah.
I used to have the Domino's in the corner of our neighborhood on the back of my head, and I felt fat as fuck for that. Like, I felt mad fat for having Domino's' number.
But like that just shows you how I knew what to say at that moment to get the laugh.
Yeah,
He one time gave my number. That was such an uncomfortable situation.
that was fucking hilarious. I gave because my teacher was like, "I'm gonna call your dad right now. What's your dad's number?" He's like, "Call your dad right now. I want to talk to him."
That's smart.
I was like,
That's
"You know
smart.
what?" I was like, "You know what?" I text Zen. I'm like, "Yo, dude, you gotta play dad for a second." And he's like, "What?" And he's like caught off guard. And I call him. He's like, "Fuck!" And then he like plays dad, and it fucking works like a charm. And he's like, "Yeah, we'll talk to him when he gets home today." And I'm like,
I had the general thing. Wait, what is he doing? I'm gonna have a big talk with him when we get home. Thank you so much for letting me know
to this
about
day,
this. It's not gonna happen again.
obviously-
and I'm just like, what the fuck are you making me do? Like,
you played the part right though.
he did play the part right. He came in clutch.
I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, at the time, I had to think about my parenting style immediately. He put me on the spot. I'm like, how would I parent this situation? Like, because I'm like, I could be one of 2 things. Like, I could over exaggerate. I'd be like, yo, I'm beating his ass. You better hope he stay after school, because if not, he catching a case. Like, you should have done that. That would have been great.
That's what I would have done. Honestly, I would have been like, "What did it do?" "Oh, I'm kidding." Oh, well, I mean, I'm gonna talk to him.
Have a very stern talking to him, and by stern I mean
Howard Stern. No, like
stern. Mean my hand on his sternum. What?
What
Whoa.
the fuck?
Y'all wild.
Yeah, dude.
Anyways,
This is fucking crazy.
Anyways, we don't need to tell the teachers what's going on at home. Honestly, I feel like that's our own personal business. Teachers used to hit our kids not even that long ago, so we all good. And crazy how it changed. Like, schools used to just hit your kids. Now they find out that you're hitting your kids, and all of a sudden it's an issue. Now all of a sudden they got to tell somebody. Y'all were physically doing it, y'all selves.
Dude,
y'all had government issued equipment.
I'm not gonna lie. If they were still beating kids in school, I'd have been
Flatter than you are. Your ass would be flatter.
My
than
ass
it
would be
is.
flatter. I'd be less of a piece of shit though. Like, dude, the thing is like I was a fucking asshole to teachers too. And there was this one time we were watching Romeo and Juliet in class, and this girl in the back was talking. The teacher pauses the movie because this girl in the front's like, "I can't hear the movie," and this girl's name is Abby, the one talking in the back.
Which Romeo and Juliet was it? Is
the
it
fucking Leo D one, dude.
It's not that weird hip hop one, is it? It wasn't that one.
I don't think so.
I don't know if you know that, but there's like some weird rendition of it of like their hip hop and like they're like different gangs. Juliet's in one gang and Romeo's in the other gang.
That is a wild. I had seen that concept.
That pissed me off so much. I was like, this is so fucking racist. Oh my
god. The
God.
Leonardo DiCaprio one kind of pissed me off too. I was like,
just wasn't good.
Old.
It wasn't that good. And that's why everyone in the class was kind of talking through the movie.
Yeah.
So she's like, I wonder why we can't hear the movie, Abby. And I raised my hand and she's like, what? She's upset already. And I'm like, it's because the movie's paused. And she just looks at me and just loses her fucking shit. And I am sitting there fucking laughing my ass off because I was just being a piece of shit, a smart ass to her.
Yeah.
And so all the fucking anger she had towards the people talking just shifted to me. And she's like, I am sick, because I was already doing shit like this like earlier in the year. She's like, I'm sick and tired of you always undermining me. And she's like, I am here and you are here. You could never be on my level. I'm like, bitch, you're arguing with a freshman right now. Clearly,
goddamn,
you're the one with the problem.
Can I be honest with you really quickly? And this is going to take a little bit of a turn, but this exact situation has been the main reason why I'm not sure that teachers should have guns. That's been the big thing going on lately. And I'm like, for one, teachers got too many emotions. They either be sleeping with kids or wanting to slap the fuck out of kids. If they get to if someone says a certain word incorrectly, the strap being pulled, I think, to either herself or the kids. At a certain point, someone's going to break, and it's for situations like this. It's for little pieces of shit like you.
Me?
You're the reason for what's going on right now.
Honestly, I'm fucking glad. I'm glad. We need to fix this shit, dude. We need to fix the education system, one school shooting at a time. No, I'm kidding. All right, you need to edit that out.
On that note, I think we got what we need. I think we had a great conversation.
You need to edit that shit out.
You got it, actually. That
You need to edit that out.
That last one, you might have to edit out because that was kind of, whoa.
That was a little wild. I don't know. Me and Marlo have like 15 straight minutes of trans material on the last podcast. I haven't fully edited that out.
I mean, okay, so if we're talking about shooting and children, I would prefer to be with sex than a gun.
Yeah.
Shooting and children. If we're talking shooting and children, like, would you rather do with sex or a gun? I mean,
what are you gonna put the gun in her vagina? It's fucking
hell yeah, man. You know
what?
You don't do that?
The cold steel, the Glock, and the.
That's one way to hang her. I mean, fuck, I guess.
Just aim and pull.
Some girls are turned on by steel.
I mean, at least it'll feel good before you.
Why are you assuming the trigger's being pulled?
Yeah, we're just putting the gun in. Yeah,
gun her in the vagina, just like fucking.
Yes.
Just to throw her off. She's like, this feels dangerous. It's like, it might be.
I don't know.
Is it loaded?
It's like
I don't
rough
know.
sex, but like not as rough.
It's like Russian roulette, but
right.
You put the safety on, of course.
You put the
For sure. Like you won't gotta have the clip in either. You know what I'm saying?
You put a condom on the gun or no?
You put the condom on the gun, yes.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, but you got to take out the clip because sometimes like it shoots early. So like, but
Yeah, you don't want to
gotta-
pre-cum. You don't want to pre-ejaculate on that. We wilding right now. I don't know if that's how we're gonna end it. We're trying to end, and I don't know if this is the note. I just want to say that it was good having a conversation with you. Do you want to plug what showcases you usually at or where they can find you online?
I have a podcast. It's called Unprofoundly Chill with Joe Navarro. You should definitely listen to it. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find podcasts. And also, I'm at Axelrad every Monday. It's a show called Punchline Mondays, hosted by Jeff Joe. Sometimes I open up, sometimes I host. It's always a good spot. Great comedy, great comics there. It's a great room. I love it. And this Sunday, when is this coming out?
This is going to be coming out, I think, probably next Thursday. Not this coming Thursday.
Okay, well, I had a show this Sunday at Rudyard's at the Riot, Houston Funniest Comedy Showcase. And yeah, I mean, just find me at IG, TikTok, The Jocosity, TheJoeCosity.
All right, cool. Well, it was nice having you. Hopefully we can have you back.
Yeah, it was great. It was great being here. I loved it.
And hopefully we can catch you in some of your showcases.
Yeah, definitely come through. Yeah.
All right. See y'all later. We out.
Deuces.